Hey, this is Dr. Andy Barlow with the new book, Licensed to Heal, What to Do When Traditional Medicine Has Failed. And by the way, this is the #1 new release on Amazon. I want to personally invite you to Conroe, Texas for my Neuro Reconnect Systems Frozen Shoulder Seminar. If you're interested in knowing how to market frozen shoulder and receive $4,950 and know you can help a patient in 2 visits, this is the seminar you need to go to. In my clinic, I market the frozen shoulder. I do a proper neurological exam, and also I guarantee results in 2 visits with frozen shoulder, and I collect $4,950. If you're interested in that, come to my seminar. It's November in Conroe, Texas. Thank you very much.
Hello, everyone. My name is Mark Anthony with Edge on Regenerative Medicine Show, and I have Dr. Andy Barlow with us today. How are you?
Hey, I'm doing great, Mark. Thanks for having me on.
Oh, I'm really excited. So this show here today is specifically going to be very different from the other shows that we've had. What we normally do is we get the best of the best doctors here on the show that are great at their niche. Today, we're going to be talking about Dr. Andy Barlow, about his new institute that he has today. But before we do that, I wanted to talk about a few things. And first, I would like, for those of you that do not know who I am, my name is Mark Anthony with Edge on Regenerative Medicine Show, also the founder of Edge Marketing Services, where we help doctors with their brand, getting their idea with video websites and making sure that they're everywhere to be seen on Google. I know that we hear that from a lot of companies. They say they'll do that, but they don't do what they say they do. We do what we say we're going to do. One of the things we want to start out today is Galatians 2:20. It's a scripture that Dr. Andy Barlow has in his book. Those of you that do not have his book, if you want to get that, you can go to DrAndyBarlowDC.com, DrAndyBarlowDC.com. And the beginning of that, and this book is a #1 seller on Amazon. So I recommend you getting that. I purchased the first month, unbelievable book. And it starts off in Galatians 2:20. I have been crucified with Christ. It is no longer I who live, but Christ who lives in me. And the life I now live in the flesh, I live by faith in the Son of God who loved me and gave himself for me. So those of you doctors out there, you understand that scripture, because most of doctors out there, they're believers. And we understand that God uses our hands to heal people. And I know that's part of one of the biggest reasons why Dr. Andy Barlow got into helping people, because he knew that he can make a difference. With that going, you can also go to barlowbrainandbody.com, barlowbrainandbody.com. And I'm just excited to have you here on the show, Dr. Andy, and tell us about your institute, about maybe a little bit about your book, and we'll take it from there.
All right. Well, I'll just start out with my book first, and Licensed to Heal, What to Do When Traditional Medicine Has Failed. We go through an intensive neuro-metabolic program. The primary reader here is our patients. So this is very patient-friendly. Also, that's my primary audience. My secondary audience is for doctors. And the key thing is that we are in such a toxic environment, spiritually and just body-wise. And this we want to address that through this book. And actually, I've got, I don't know how many testimonials in here from patients with seizures. One lady she was having 15 to 20 seizures a day. She no longer has any seizures. Her mom actually writes the testimonial for me. I have patients who have been in, they literally have taken their spouse into the doctor in a wheelchair, and the patients are like, the doctor said, well, the best thing you can do is put him in an assisted living. And they're like, we want to live. We don't want to go to assisted living, and we don't want to be in this wheelchair. This is before COVID, but 9 months later, the husband and the wife were actually flying to Israel on a 3-week vacation. So, and you go down this one road and they go, there's nothing we can do, put him in an assisted living. And they didn't want to hear that. They're like, some doctor has to be able to help my husband. And they see me on TV through my marketing that I do, my TV advertisements. They come into the clinic, we do our functional neurology, functional medicine, and Mark, it just coincidental. This patient came in with bilateral frozen shoulder, and that's what I want to talk about today too. And I have a neurological treatment system that we're going to be talking about today. And he comes in with bilateral frozen shoulder. I have him on video. He's been like this for 20 years. That's actually what he comes in for, is that, because they see me on TV. I can't move my arms. I don't know if you can ever get him out of this wheelchair and help him, but this is what we're coming in for initially. And I fix his shoulders, and literally one visit, full range of motion of 20 years of no function there. And I can train any doctor to do that. And then they're like, we're signing up, we're doing the whole metabolic program, everything you say. And again, it took me 9 months to get him to where he was functional and was able to go on vacation. As a matter of fact, when he and his wife came back from Israel, they were back in town for about 3 months, and then they went to Yellowstone. And that's one of the reasons my wife and I went to Yellowstone, because of the experience they had. So, and these, I have numerous testimonials. I have doctors who have trained under me that gives me testimonials. All of this is in my book, Licensed to Heal. And also you can go to licensedtohealbook.com, and that just takes you directly to the link. And then my consulting business that I have, I've been in practice for 20 years. I kind of talk in my book about, my time that I was in the Navy. Then I got out of the Navy, worked at Cooper Tire, met my wife when I worked at Cooper Tire. That was a completely transformative experience. Got my life together at 26 and started going to school, went to chiropractic school from age 33 to 37. I graduated from Life University December of 2000, and within 8 years after graduating, I had my diplomate and fellowship in functional neurology, and I was literally training doctors all over the world. And you look back on it now, and being 8 years in practice and literally consulting doctors on how do we help patients with these neurometabolic disorders. At the time, it was called Barlow boot camp or something like that. This has been a long time ago. And then we moved from that to the American Functional Neurology Institute. And then as of late, we changed it again to the Barlow Brain and Body Institute. And like Mark said, you can see me you can learn online. I have online learning, but also barlowbrainandbody.com. All of my website, all of my seminars are on there, as well as my online learning. Now, coming up in Conroe, Texas, this date is November the 19th, 20th, and 21st. There is a special niche that I do, and we can train you how to market this. People that come in with frozen shoulder, and I have a program where they pay me up front. And then if I don't get results with the frozen shoulder, meaning full range of motion in 2 visits, I give them a full refund. The good news is this thing is 90% effective or better, which means that virtually every patient that you bring into the clinic, you're going to be able to fix their arm in one treatment. Then we do a 1 treatment follow-up, and you don't have to see them again, as long as it's a shoulder problem and not related to a neck issue. So to me, that's just one thing that I do. As a functional neurologist, I deal with people with early onset dementia, Alzheimer's, Parkinson's, movement disorders. I had a lady that just started up this week. She came in 4 years ago, walking. She was 52 years old, decided not to do our program because we do 100% cash practice. And for whatever reason, people have their own reasons. Okay. You know, I've made mistakes and I need second chances. And as a matter of fact, Mark, right now I'm on my fifth second chance. So, and it might take a little while for people to get that, but it's kind of funny, or at least I think it is. All of my jokes are funny, I think, but nevertheless, so she comes in 4 years ago, 52, she's walking. 4 years later, we're going to fast forward. She comes in, she's in a wheelchair. Okay. She had what is called facial paresis on one side of her face. She had surgery, and then for whatever reason, she didn't come in. Now she's under care, and now we have to address her from a brain-based standpoint, a metabolic standpoint. We got to deal with her back, her knees, and her feet. So, and here's the thing that I want doctor to understand. I hear people say this, well, I don't take everybody that comes in the clinic. I don't take everybody that comes in the clinic. And literally in the last week, I had 2 patients that came in, and one was yesterday that I had to refer out because there was something else wrong with them. I'll give you an example. An African-American lady came in last week, numbness in their hands. So we take an x-ray of her neck and we see something wrong with her thyroid, like it's calcified or something. We don't really know what's going on. I told her to bend her head back. She has a goiter. We have to refer this lady out. And she didn't like that. And I'm like, well, I'm sorry that you don't like it, but the point is, there's a hierarchy of things, and there's something wrong with your thyroid. Let's get that checked. Let's get that managed, and then come back in and let's get your hand worked on. Mm-hmm. And then a patient came in yesterday with some low back issues, and there was something. It was like there was a part of his lumbar spine, like the bone, part of it was missing, and I'm like, it's just something wrong here. So the point I want to make is that I see really chronically messed up people. I do not see people with acute pain. So my specialty as a functional neurologist, carrying a diplomate in functional neurology and a fellowship, is to really see patients with brain-based and metabolic disorders. But I do want to offer your doctors or people that's listening a special niche as to where we can actually activate our shoulder, unilateral or bilateral, one shoulder or both, and we can actually get this full range of motion, okay, and decrease pain and increase mobility in literally in one treatment. And if you go online and you YouTube Dr. Andy Barlow frozen shoulder, I've got several videos on there. And Mark, you've been to my seminars and you've seen me do these therapies and these treatments. And so I just want to avail myself to doctors, because I'm going to be in Conroe, Texas, which is right outside of Houston, Texas, giving this seminar. It's also 17 and a half hours. This is a 20-hour seminar. 17 and a half of those hours are actually accredited through the National University of Health Sciences, which was formerly National University. And so it is accredited. We get 17 and a half hours. There is a cervical spine entrapment syndrome, frozen shoulder, and carpal tunnel, ulnar neuritis, and radial nerve neuropathy. We talk about all of those, but kind of the go-to, people come to the seminar to learn more about how do we actually fix this shoulder and how do we get compensated for what we do. And I'll just be straightforward with you. I charge $4,950 for one shoulder, and the patient has to write me a check up front. If I can't deliver the goods, no problem, you get a refund. And so they have to put it on a credit card or whatever, because they have to pay me up front. And then once we fix the frozen shoulder, we cash the check. Again, if we don't, we give them a refund. I don't fix every shoulder, but 90+% we do. So I don't want everybody coming in and going, wow, man, he just fixes everybody's shoulder. Nope, that's an unrealistic expectation. Nobody can fix everything on everybody. Okay. And so it's understood with my patients, you come in, you got a frozen shoulder. If we're going to get this corrected in one visit, it's $4,950. And if we don't get it addressed and fixed in 2 visits, I give you a full refund. The first visit is to get the mechanical integrity back. And then I give them some home therapies. They come back in the next day. We wrap things up and you really don't have to see them again. And I'm just saying that's what I charge. But the point is, you can charge whatever you want to. But and I live in Mississippi, Tupelo, Mississippi. So If I can charge that here, you should be able to charge that anywhere. And by the way, I do have my personal cell phone on the screen here. So if you had any questions about my seminars, any of my marketing that I do, any of the way that I actually enhance the quality of patients' lives, feel free to call me. One thing I did want to throw out, Mark, if anyone that's through this Facebook ad, if you are Facebook live streaming that we have, and you want to come to one of my seminars, I am going to give you a $500 discount, but you will have to say, you'll have to call the number on the screen, and you'll have to let me know that you heard this through Mark's Facebook campaign. So that we get to do a $500 discount on that. So, and Mark, I'm just want to say thank you, and I'm going to pass that thank you. I'm not going to give it lip service. I'm actually going to give that, and I give this commitment to every doctor that comes to my seminar. If you come to one of my frozen shoulder seminars, I also have a knee pain seminar. Any seminar that you come to, I have a policy that if you don't get results, if you come to that seminar and you go, man, this is just worthless, I wasted my time, you get a full refund on that seminar. And I don't know, and maybe they're out there, I don't know any other company that's going to say, I'm going to give you a full refund if you aren't able to take something from this and apply it on Monday to start changing people's lives. Because I've been doing this for at least 12 years. To date, I have given away 0 refund. So I treat doctors that I coach the same way as I do my patients. And that is with frozen shoulder, if you don't get results, full refund. I have a knee pain program that if we don't get results in 2 visits, I don't even accept the patient for care. So see, we have these, if you will, foolproof systems that we can actually utilize, that you can actually go with knee pain. Some of you may not have a knee pain niche. This is huge in the world today. In America, knee pain and hip pain. And if I don't get results within 2 visits with that, I just tell the patient I won't accept them for care. But again, I have this neurological treatment system where we actually activate neurological systems to bring these the muscle spindles and the Golgi tendon organs. For doctors, you should know what I'm talking about. And to increase range of motion and decrease pain almost instantaneously with, again, almost every patient that you see. But if you were able to help 90% of patients and them see results within 2 visits, and then rule the other 10% out and say, look, I wish I could help you. There's nothing I can do, but this system that I have, you'll know within 2 visits if you can help people with back pain, hip pain, knee, not peripheral neuropathy, because that's a different animal. But I can teach you that program. Just again, that's a neurologically based system, and it's going to take more than 2 visits to see if you can help them there. But my point here is, with these niches, we have a system that we can show patients, hey, you can actually get improvements, even though you've been suffering with this 5, 10, 15, 20 years. And if I can't help you within these 2 visits, there's nothing I can do for you, and I won't accept you for care. So that's a lot of my marketing with joint pain. And again, I do see patients, and you can see these in my book, with seizures, early onset dementia, Parkinson's, movement disorders. These are more complex neurological disorders, and there's not a 2-visit program for that. These are years to 2-year programs that it takes to actually get these people back to what I consider optimization, to optimize their health, to get them to as close to health as we can get them. Because again, if somebody comes in with Parkinson's, they're probably always going to have that tremor. We're just trying to get this tremor not to go into the other extremity. We're trying to allow them to not deteriorate, or if they do, at least the process of deterioration is going to be much, much slower. And I can train every doctor that's listening to this. I have patients that are diplomates in neurology. I train medical doctors, PhDs, nurse practitioners, chiropractors. I've had chiropractors that come to my seminars that's been a straight chiropractor for 40 years, and they just want a different brand. They want to do something different. And I can teach, what I'm trying to say is I've taught people right out of chiropractic school, and I've taught them that have been in practice for 40 years. And so it's, And Mark, I remember Mark, the first time he actually called me, I don't know how many times. And, and he goes, "Hey Doc, I want to talk to you about some marketing and stuff like that." And after he called me a few times, I'm like, well, I better answer the phone because this guy keeps calling me. And so he thought that it was, I dealt with neck and back pain. And I was like, man, I'm a board certified chiropractic neurologist. I carry a fellowship and I'm diplomated in functional neurology. And I said, go online and I want you to look up this frozen shoulder before and after. And I think it was, lack of a better word, we could say, or words, we rocked his world because it was beyond what, right. I mean, I'm not trying to put words in your mouth, but I wanted him to see this is, you think that we're dealing with neck pain and back pain, and man, we're way stratospherically above that. And then again, just, the frozen shoulder, the way I explain it to doctors when I speak on Facebook or in other seminars, if you think about it like a combination code, like I play racquetball 4 days a week, and at the gym that I use, I have a combination on my lock. And if I told Mark, I said, hey, let's go up and play racquetball, I'm not going to give you the combination to the lock, but you go figure it out. I mean, he may never figure it out. And if he did, it might take months to years. So my point here is, like with this frozen shoulder, there's a combination to this locked or frozen shoulder. And then once you understand what that combination is, you can literally unlock this thing in less than 5 minutes. My videos that I have online, I have them and I'll say, look at the clock, what time is it? And then you'll come back and they'll see before. And typically it's going to be somewhere between 4 to 6 minutes that it takes to do this. So what I'm saying is, at this upcoming seminar in Conroe, Texas, I'm going to actually show you the combination to unlock this shoulder. And once we do that, you will literally be able to unlock these shoulders Monday. You will be versed at a new way to actually, when you do adjustments in the neck, how to activate the muscle spindles and Golgi tendon organs to get a better adjustment, how to unlock these entrapment syndromes that's in the brachial plexus that will cause numbness in the hands. And just as a side note, since this seminar is going to be an upper extremity, in the brachial plexus, from the cervical spine to the shoulder, there's actually 3 entrapment sites here, and we have to address that. Once you get past the shoulder, the 3 peripheral nerves that we have, the median nerve, ulnar nerve, and radial nerve, each one of these nerves have 3 entrapment sites in its periphery. So see, just knowing those simple things, like when somebody comes in and says, I have numbness in the hands, then you go, take your other pointy finger and show me where the problem is, okay? And so that will help say, hey, this is a median nerve problem or an ulnar nerve problem, and here's the takeaway. The next time somebody says that they have, here's what they're going to come in with. They're going to say, Doc, I got carpal tunnel, all right? And I'll go, okay, is it in one hand or both hands? And let's just keep it simple and say it's in this hand. And I'll say, take your pointy finger and show me where the problem is. And they'll do like this. And then back here, once they go past these 3 digits, it's not carpal tunnel at that point. So this is median nerve and the carpal tunnel runs through here. This one is ulnar nerve and the condylogynon is here, and back here is the radial nerve. So here's the takeaway. If they point to the whole hand, it's going to be more of a plexopathy. So if you keep looking in their hand to treat this problem, you're probably not going to address the issue. Even if they have carpal tunnel, here's the reality. I don't remember the last time someone came into my clinic that said they had carpal tunnel in which they had true carpal tunnel syndrome. There's a test we can do to test the thenar and determine if it's actually carpal tunnel syndrome or if we have a pronator teres entrapment. So most of the people that I see that come in, if not all, again, I can't remember the last person that came in that had true carpal tunnel, but this entrapment syndrome on the flexors, more commonly the pronator teres, we have to release that. And then by releasing that entrapped nerve at the pronator or the flexor tendons, then we can actually, and flexor muscles, we can actually eliminate that entrapment syndrome, and they free up this this hand, and we never touched the carpal tunnel. Okay. So, and I go into detail about that. So just at the takeaway, next time somebody says they come into your clinic and they have numbness in the hand, just say, take your pointy finger and show me where the problem is. Okay. If they say the whole hand, it's not going to be carpal tunnel. And again, this is ulnar neurology. So think about it like this. This is our neurology gang signs. You ready? Right here. Here we go. This is the median nerve. This is the median nerve. It's like an M, right? Right. That kind of looks like an M. So that's median nerve. That looks kind of like a U. Use your imagination. That's an ulnar nerve. So we only have 3 nerves in the hand. One is the median nerve. These 2 are the ulnar, and then the back of the hand here on this side here. These digits here, the first 3 digits. This is the radial nerve back here. So that's the easy way to remember it. My job is to take complex academia, aka neurology, and make this simple. And again, see, when I say our chiropractic gang member signs, you won't ever forget this. When you do that, that's an M for median nerve. This is U for ulnar nerve. And then the first 3 digits on the dorsal aspect of her hand is the radial nerve. And if I were to ask you what's the difference between median nerve, ulnar nerve, and radial nerve, before I told you that, you'd probably go like, let me think about it. It's back in here somewhere because I remembered it in school. But see, the point is, patients' lives are on the line by you not knowing this. So this is just not knowing some kind of cool trick, for neurology. This is about a human being that's sitting in front of you. In my world, I've got 4 new patients coming in this afternoon, and whatever their symptom is, I'm going to hear the same song and dance with every one of them. I've been to all of these doctors, nobody knows what to do. Okay. And so what happens is, from a medical standpoint, and I'm not a medical basher, there's a time and a place for surgery. There is a time and a place for medication. But when I see people that come in, and they've got a page and a half, double spaced typed of medication, that's a little bit overkill. That's a whole lot overkill. Okay, that's what I'm opposed to, is just giving somebody a drug that my 17-year-old grandson could go online and Google, and somebody says, oh, I've got chronic pain. What's the top 5 drugs for chronic pain? Boom, let's just give them this script. Anybody can do that. You don't have to be a medical doctor to do that. Tell me what your pain is, and then anybody can go online and Google the top 5 drugs, and let's just start at the top and go down. Okay. What I have to be is, I actually have to be a detective and find out which neurological systems have failed, what metabolic systems have failed, how do we absorb and assimilate the food that we actually eat, because just because you put it in your mouth and you chew it up and you swallow it, it doesn't mean that your body is actually absorbing that. There's specific blood tests that we have to do to follow these scenarios. Okay. So again, currently where I am in Mississippi, I have patients that have come in from at least 15 different states. And that was before COVID. Now I still have patients that come in from the surrounding states, but I literally used to have patients fly in to my clinic for care because they could not get results anywhere else. And so again, in a nutshell, I can show you how to deal with the low-hanging fruit, which is frozen shoulder, the numbness and tingling in the hand, back, knee. One of my niches is knee pain. All of these are quick and easy solutions that you can actually rule in or rule a patient out for care. And then we have these more complex neurological disorders, from brain-based to neuropathy, that you're really going to have to stay in here with me with some of my seminars to actually learn this. But the reward to all of this is incredible. To be able to see someone get out of a wheelchair that could not walk, or you have people that's had a walker for 3-4 years, and now you see them in the clinic today, and if you saw them today, it's like, why is this guy even in the clinic? And it's because he barely could walk when he came in here. Those kind of things. So these are the areas that I can help you with, what I call the low-hanging fruit, the easy stuff, and then we can get as complex as you want to. I remember when I built my house years ago, I talked to a landscaper. You got to realize we're from the South here. And we were talking about landscape, and he goes, well, Dr. Barlow, it's kind of like a slice of salami. You just cut off whatever you want and leave the rest at the grocery store, you know. And so the way he said it, it was just hilarious. And that's what I tell doctors now. It's, you know, I have seminars designed just for the low hanging fruit. And there's doctors that want that program. And then I have doctors that's like, you know, I want to know everything I can about helping patients with the most complex neurological disorder. And you know what? I don't have a protocol for these people when they come in. They fill out a paperwork, they come in, we sit down, I do a neurological exam, and I give them my best recommendation, and it's different for everybody. And I'll give you an example. I had a patient come in about 3 weeks ago, came in with hip pain and problems with his right and left ankle. Now, for most doctors, they would go, okay, so we take some x-rays of his back, probably take x-rays of his hip, and we did all of that. And so up on the neurological exam, I noticed some pitting edema around his ankles. So I could actually see where his socks were. You know, he's taking his socks off for the exam. 15 minutes later, you can still see where the socks are. And I'm like, brother, you've got some liver and kidney problems, and or maybe both. And then I don't know what else is going on. So he did my metabolic program, and then we get the results back. And this guy's type 2 diabetic, which is undiagnosed, inflammatory markers going through the roof. His blood sugar is already destroying his liver because his bond, the blood urea nitrogen is too high. His liver is damaged, and he's also got an autoimmune thyroid. And the guy came in, Mark, because the hip and knee and both ankles were hurting. And see, to be able to take a patient from that and look at the metabolic machinery, you know, and this is what I'm saying, and I don't use this term lightly. When I say this is truly life-changing care when people come in here, that's exactly what I mean. We don't deal with looking at the blinky light. I call it the blinky light syndrome. So every other doctor he'd been to looked at the blinky light syndrome, hip, both ankles. Okay. And then something else is going on. Something metabolically is driving this as well. And so we put him on a program, and then see, my metabolic program that I have is $5,907. And we go through a gamut of metabolic testing, and that includes the supplements that they need within the first 3 months to optimize their recovery. So again, this is truly, I mean, I know it's cliche to tell people, it's like, oh, this is next level, but this is the next level in healthcare, because most healthcare professionals look at the blinky light, you know, and it's the blinky light's kind of like, as Dave Ramsey said, it's like a moth drawn to a flame. It's like they can't stop looking at it. Okay. And then they go into the flame, and then it ends up, you know, of course, disintegrating the moth. But if somebody comes into your clinic, and this is a great principle to live by, if somebody comes into your clinic and they have a chronic problem, meaning it's 6 months or longer, most people I see is years or longer, and they tell you, everybody's looked at my hip, or everybody's looked at my back or my neck or whatever, that's not going to be where the problem is, even though the symptom may be here, because everybody else, the last 5 healthcare professionals that specialize in looking at the neck or the hip, couldn't solve this, because everybody's looking at the blinky light. So we've got to look somewhere else, meaning metabolic, autoimmune disorder. And again, what a lot of doctors do is they take this acute care model and they take it into the chronic care world. Okay, let me give you an example. If, let's say, tomorrow when I play racquetball, let's say that I even hate to talk about this, but if I tweak my shoulder, okay, I'm sorry, not my shoulder, my knee, for example, misstep, boom, and I tear a ligament, okay? So, and see, that would be an acute problem. You go get an MRI, they do some orthopedic tests, and they go, there's the ligament problem. We got to do some surgical intervention and get this thing repaired. We know it's cause and effect. We know what caused it. But see, when we take that acute model and we try to put that into the chronic world, it doesn't fit hardly ever. I'm not saying it never works, but I'm saying it hardly ever works, because you get a patient that comes in, and I mean, of the 4 new patients I have this afternoon, they may all come in with knee pain. I don't know what they're coming in with, but let's just use knee pain as an example. So they come in, they've got knee pain, and they've had 2 cortisol injections, and the cortisol injection didn't work. Well, there could be a lot of reasons why that didn't work, but for one, the cortisol injection didn't repair, didn't restore, didn't regenerate the joints. It's a synthetic, man-made product that you inject into the knee to decrease pain. Most patients don't know this, but doctors, if you don't know this, you need to actually start carrying on conversation with patients like this. So there's a reason why you can only get 4 cortisol shots a year. Okay, number one is because it decreases your immune response, and whether you, just as a side note, we're going to talk a little bit of COVID here. You know, I find it ironic that doctors want to get people in, you know, get the jab for COVID, okay, to help with their antibodies, but man, they don't mind injecting them with a steroid shot that's going to suppress their immune system. So I want you to think about that for just a second. The same person that would advocate for a COVID shot is the exact same person that would put a cortisol shot in your shoulder or your hip, knowing, well, they probably don't know, they don't care, maybe, but that it's going to actually drop your immune system. Okay, so think about that just a second. These corticosteroid shots also drive up your blood sugar. So most of the patients that I see are either insulin resistant or already type 2 diabetic. So this person comes in with a bad shoulder or bad knee, and they're getting a cortisone shot. So that's going to depress their immune system. It's going to drive up their blood sugar. Also, it can lead to osteoporosis, and it can actually destroy the tendons and the ligaments in the joint. So you need to look at all that. And I understand that there's a cost benefit analysis. I mean, if somebody said, I got a steroid shot and it lasted for 4 years, hey man, cost benefit analysis right there is pretty good. Okay. But what happens when, like the guy that started up yesterday, he had 2 injections, boom, 0 results. Okay, so now you've got all of the parts of the side effects here with no benefit whatsoever. Okay, so again, when I went down this long tirade here, is you got doctors that are taking this acute model and trying to put it into the chronic world, and again, they very seldom work, because if somebody comes in with a chronic health problem, this entire inner workings of this machinery, from your blood sugar to your inflammation to your liver to your kidneys to your gut function to your leaky gut to gluten sensitivity that's been misdiagnosed, all of these have to be addressed to help improve the overall health and wellness of this person. And I tell patients all the time, and this will be in my 2nd book that should be published either in December or January, hopefully. I don't know if you've ever published a book, but it's kind of like building a house. It's never gets done on time, and it's always over budget. So just for doctors who are getting ready to write a book, just please understand that. Be patient, okay? But the world needs to hear your story, okay? I hear doctors all the time, well, what else can I say? I don't care how many different things have been talked about. Nobody's ever heard your story. Nobody's ever heard your slant on how people, what they need to do to improve the quality of their life. So this is what I tell patients all the time. We all have an expiration date. Mr. Patient, you have an expiration date. Okay. This is not like you can go, you can't buy an extended period here. Okay, this is not like buying a car and you get a 100,000-mile warranty. When our expiration date's up, we can't get an additional warranty here. So what I want you doctors to understand, just like I tell my patients, you have an expiration date, okay? And where you are between now and that expiration date, you get to determine that. You get to determine the thoughts that go in your head. You get to determine, how you're going to live your life. I get up at 4 o'clock in the morning, Monday through Friday, to actually optimize my life so that when patients come into my clinic, I sit there in front of them and I say, I get up at 4 o'clock in the morning studying to optimize the recovery of patients' lives. And I've been waiting for you, Mr. Smith, to come in here for 20 years. I've been waiting on you for 20 years. And that just blows people's minds because, again, I live what I teach. I have a gluten sensitivity. I talk about this in my second book that I've written. Completely asymptomatic. Had no idea that I had it. So, and we know that if you have a gluten sensitivity, that can lead to brain-based disorders, complex neurological disorders, leaky gut, autoimmune disorders. So see, if we're going to be a true healthcare provider with an emphasis on health, we need to be able to curtail these health problems before they get into the disease process. And we actually have lab tests that can do that now. So again, like with me, I don't have a leaky gut, but I do have gluten sensitivity. And see, so when I tell patients this test has to be done, I've done this. I've lived this. When you have to go on a gluten-free diet, I can train patients how to do this because I do this. And I get a lot of heat from the medical community and other chiropractors when I say this, but I don't really care. And that is that the most devastating protein you can put in your body is gluten. Okay. And you look at all the scientific research and see gluten in America is now hybridized, which we don't have the enzymes to break that down. And so that can lead to dementia, Alzheimer's, Parkinson's, seizures, depression, sleep disorders, just to name a few from a brain-based standpoint, leaky gut, GERD, which is gastric reflux, malabsorption issues, getting your liver, I'm not your liver, hopefully you don't get your liver cut out because you won't live very long without it. It's like, what's the American Express, don't leave home without it. Your liver, don't leave home without it. So, but your gallbladder, okay. So, and so when a patient comes in, if they really want me to take them to the next level, I mean, what I consider to be their God-given potential, we have to look at all of that. We have to look at their brain. We have to do neurological exam. We've got to fix them metabolically, neurologically, and we got to get their gut fixed. We got to look at their autoimmune disorders, their inflammatory markers. And you know what? I don't take any insurance. And the reason I don't take any insurance, because insurance isn't going to pay for me to do all that. And I tell patients all the time, if I took insurance, I wouldn't be able to help you any more than the other doctors because they're shackled because the doctors don't work for you. They work for your insurance company. And so if you're working for the insurance company, you're going to be it's going to be difficult to, if not impossible, to help these people at the level that I do because insurance will not cover these people to get their life back. I'll give you another example. It's like if I do a blood test on somebody and their blood urea nitrogen is too high. And see, medicine won't even deal with that until the person is almost completely lost kidney function. Because see, if your bond is too high, and I know you can make all kind of Brazilian butt lift jokes on that if your bond's too high. And we can go on and on about that. But we're talking about in your blood urea nitrogen. And so when your kidneys start to, when they become dysfunctional, they start to release this into the bloodstream. And when we do a test, we can actually test for this. Okay. So, and then we got a high marker here on our bond. And then what happens is most doctors just look at that and go, oh, well, that's kind of high. Let's just set this over here and not talk about that anymore until your kidneys are totally destroyed to the point to where you need to be on dialysis, because that is when your insurance will cover it. Okay. So patients being responsible for their health and their well-being, insurance doesn't cover that. See, I tell patients all the time, your blood sugar's high, this is a self-inflicted wound, okay, which means you did this to yourself, and that means you're the one that's got to be responsible for fixing it. And people don't like to hear that. They want to blame other people. And people who blame other individuals or other entities or other races for their problem, I don't hang around those people very long because, I am the answer and the problem to everything that's in my life, good or bad. I'm the solution and I'm the problem of that. So when it comes to type 2 diabetes, I tell patients all the time, this is a self-inflicted wound. You did this to yourself. So the good news is you can undo this to yourself if you choose to do that. But here's going to be the thing. Insurance is not going to cover you to solve this problem. Insurance will cover when you go blind and you need a home health care nurse. They'll pay for that. Insurance will pay when you're on dialysis, but your life is over with because you'll be on dialysis Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and you'll have to recover on Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday. And that's your life for the rest of your life. Forget about going to Europe, forget about traveling, because every other day you're going to be on dialysis. But don't worry, insurance covers that. Type 2 diabetes can also cause you to get your feet amputated. Insurance will cover that. So there's things that insurance will cover, but that's when you're in end stage pathology. Between health and end stage pathology, this little gray zone through here, if you want to help optimize your recovery, you're going to have to pay for that yourself. But once we go under kidney dialysis, all at that point, it's just about living. It's about staying alive. It's not about optimizing anybody's recovery. It's just keeping you from dying. And if you get your feet amputated, there's something about not being able to optimize your life at that point. Maybe I'm weird, I don't know, but I hadn't seen anybody in the racquetball court, running around with a nub foot, okay, with their cankle, okay. But so again, it's going to be difficult to optimize your recovery when we start losing these extremities. And see, we have these metabolic tests that we can curtail this. We can spot these things years, if not decades, before they cause enough tissue damage that's irreversible, in which we can help these people. And that's why I tell doctors, it's your responsibility. If you want to help your fellow man, it's going to be your responsibility to go to my seminars or someone's seminars who can help train you on this neurometabolic aspect of healthcare. Because truly, that's the if you want to call it the evolution, or this is where we're going from a healthcare standpoint. Because back in the day, we used to see, from a chiropractic standpoint, we'd see BJ Palmer do an adjustment, and these people could almost like get up and walk. Okay. But we have to understand that back in that day, these people didn't live with a toxic overload. Okay. They didn't have McDonald's. They didn't have the big gulp. They didn't have the 32-ounce sodas. Okay. They didn't have the fried chicken and the McNuggets and all that stuff, and all this gluten and all of these like glutamate. That's an excitatory issue that can lead to headache and fibromyalgia. So see, they didn't have this toxic overload from a metabolic standpoint. All we needed was stimulation. And so now we've got with these chronic problems, we have to detox these people, and then we have to stimulate them. So there's another added process that we have to go through. And again, from a gluten sensitivity, if you doubt me, here's what I do with my patients when they come in. We're going to do this in Terralab, and you can go to terralab.com. It's panel A2. So what this A2 does is you get 2 swabs. You do a cheek swab, and one is to see if you carry the gluten gene, and the second swab is to see if you carry the celiac gene. Now, I'm telling everyone listening, every patient, this is currently we're in October, and this entire year from January to October, every single patient that I've tested with this, we've only had one patient that only had one gluten gene. So the way this works, you can have 0 genes, 1 gluten gene, or 2. I've had nobody come in with 0 gluten gene. Okay. I've had one person come in with 1. I've had everyone else that either come in with 1 gluten gene and 1 celiac gene, or they had both gluten genes. Okay. So I've been testing people for this for more than 15 years. And literally, Mark, I've only had one patient that came in that didn't have a gluten gene. So I want doctors to let that sink in, is because if you're dealing with patients with neuropathy and chronic pain, brain-based disorders, meaning that somebody has fatigue or anxiety, depression, or can't sleep, and you look up gluten sensitivity and anxiety, there's a direct correlation with that. Again, because we don't eat God-made wheat anymore. We consume man-made, or people that eat wheat consume man-made. Okay. And also the wheat today, not only is it hybridized, but it's already injected with what is called Roundup Ready, which is a pesticide that's in there to keep, okay. So that this Roundup Ready already has the pesticide ingrained in the wheat. So when we eat that bread or that whole grain bread, we're getting these pesticides inside of our body. So we don't have the gene to break down this hybridized wheat. Now we're getting these pesticides in there. And we have to, as healthcare professionals, we have to look at this because, again, what everybody else is looking at is the blinky light. They're looking at the end stage pathology. And for some people, there may be a 20, 30-year process from when they last felt healthy till they come into your clinic and now they got this problem. And I'm going to give you, I'm just going to tell you, the lady that came in the wheelchair that was 56, she came in with her cousin that day because her husband works on a offshore well. And this woman is 56, and I'm just telling you what she said. I know patients hear sometimes what they want to hear, but she said that every doctor she went to said that her lab results are normal. And I want you to let that sink into normal. Now, from a medical standpoint, normal just means you ain't dead yet. Okay. And I know there was a little bit of Mississippi ease thrown in with that, but that's what I tell a patient all the time. Normal to medicine just means you ain't dead yet. I mean, how many doctors that's listening here have heard a patient that had a car wreck, totally destroyed the car? Okay. The patient goes to the emergency room and then the doctor goes, everything came back normal. Now, let me get this straight, right? You may know people like this. Okay. So now let me get this straight. This car is made out of steel and rubber and plastic, and this crash totaled your car. Okay. And our body is made out of blood vessels, nerves, and bone and soft tissue. And if it destroyed that car, it destroyed you. It just may have taken 20 years for it to manifest itself. So again, nobody can tell me that if you're in a car crash and you total the car and you go to the doctor, the person's going to the emergency room and they come out and they say they're normal. There's no, all it means is you didn't have a hemorrhage, you didn't have a fracture, you don't have any avulsions. Therefore, from a medical standpoint, you are normal. Okay. So, and then now let's talk about a real person that's been in the clinic. This woman came in 4 years ago walking, and then she didn't like my care plan. So now she comes in a wheelchair. I wish she'd have done something back then, but she didn't. But everybody's got to go through their trials and tribulations. And she came in, and I didn't give her a tongue lashing. I didn't say blame on you. I put myself in her position. People have told me a lot of things that I didn't do that I wish, looking back on it, I'm like, man, I wish I'd listened to that person. That right. So, who am I to judge somebody that whatever reason, it just wasn't right for her at the time. And now she's ready to do whatever I tell her to do. Okay. Now, with that being said, again, all of her lab results, according to her, have come back normal. And I guarantee you, when I get these lab results back, there's not going to be normal is not going to be on there. It just, from a medical standpoint, this is a key point here. It just means you're not pathological enough yet that you've destroyed enough tissue yet that we can hang a sign on you that says you have this disease. Okay. That's all that means. You haven't destroyed enough tissue as of yet that we can diagnose you with the disease. And I think there was what was the comedian's name? Fox, not Red Fox, but the country guy. But anyway, he would say, "Here's your sign," and that was my thing. Is that's where I came up with the sign analogy. Is once your body deteriorates to where you've destroyed enough tissue, we can actually give that a name, and then we put a sign on you, and we say you have this condition. But until you get to that pathological state, medicine really doesn't know what to do with you. Okay. And so that's where we're going to come in. Even when it gets pathological, there's things that we can still do to people. Excuse me, I kicked my camera here. And so, but again, it's, we want to try to get them as early as possible, like anything else, but you got this healthcare, disease care, and somewhere down this slope here is where we want to get them. I'd like to get them before they get to this disease care process, but sometimes we can't. So that's what I wanted to share with everybody today. I don't know how long I've been talking. It's like when you're at church and the preacher looks at his watch, you know what that means, don't you, Mark?
Oh yeah.
it doesn't mean anything.
Well, to me, he's ready to eat. I'm playing.
Yeah.
At church, you know.
Yep. And
At least,
so
at least with my kids.
Yep.
Yeah.
And so I just wanted to say, I wanted to thank you for allowing me to be on here. Now, I just want to tell doctors again, I know I spoke with you probably for 45 minutes. I don't know exactly how long I've been on. I give six 20-hour seminars. Okay. You can see these on Barlow Brain and Body Institute. And so again, I take doctors at my level 1 from here's how we communicate with patients. Here's how we, this is how we start our neurological exam. Here's how we mark it for a patient. Here's how we answer the phone. This is how my staff handles patients over the phone. We don't mislead people. One of the ladies that came in yesterday with her husband, and I know they mean well when they say this, okay? But, when I showed them, I've got a digital x-ray here, but when I showed them their x-rays and I just said, look, something looks funny here on your x-rays, and I'm going to need to refer you out. I don't know what it is. It just doesn't look right. And the next words out of her mouth were, thanks for being honest. And I said, well, I'm honest with all of my patients. And sometimes that brutal honesty, honesty, everybody knows if you're really honest with people, it's a two-edged sword, right? Some people are going to appreciate your honesty, and then some people are just going to go, because I've literally had two patients last year. They were at an advanced stage of Alzheimer's. Once you get into stage 5, there's no return. If you're in stage 4, you can slow it down, but at 5, there's no coming back. So a daughter had brought his family that came in here actually, and they brought the mom in. I'm doing an exam and I'm just like, I wish there was something I could do here, but she is just too far gone. And one of the daughters just like kind of lost her mind, and I said, what am I supposed to do here? Am I supposed to charge you? These neurological fees are pretty high. Okay. And so what am I supposed to do? Charge you all of this money knowing I can't help you or your mom? Or am I supposed to tell you the truth and tell you she's too far gone? And if you want to get mad about that, I'm sorry, but my job is to help people that I can help and then to send people out that I can't, but she's beyond repair. And I had another lady that came in and she had some cerebellar tremor. She's like this. And I'm just like, why did you wait so long to come in here? There's nothing I can do with you at this point. And her daughter got mad at me and she's like, well, she just thought you had the answer. And I'm like, I did 10 years ago, but you can't destroy tissue to this point and expect it to get fixed. It's like taking a Corvette and running it into an oak tree at 120 miles an hour. It just ain't gonna work right again.
And looking at you and say, hey, you can fix it, right?
Is what?
And then them looking at you saying, but you can fix it, right?
Right. And see, I'm going to accept people that I can help. And I'm going to be man enough to tell the people that I can't help. Okay. And I don't apologize about it on either extremes because again, my case fees that I do are very, very, and I don't consider, it's not an expense, it's an investment, but these are beyond whatever doctors are listening to on here, whatever you think my case fees are, they're probably, you can double or triple it. Okay. Because I really see severely damaged people. And if I can help them, I'm going to go over a care plan with them. And if I can't, I refer them out. But going back to I appreciate you being honest, is I don't know how to be any other than that. We got politicians that lie to us. We got all these people that, look you straight in the face and just bald face, no pun intended, bald face lie to you. and to be straightforward with people, regardless of how bad it's going to hurt you to tell them the truth, just tell them the truth. Okay. We're so far removed from that when people actually, when you tell somebody the truth, most of them actually thank you. And I'm just like, well, I appreciate you thanking me, but I'm going to be straightforward and honest with you. And where the chips fall is where they're going to fall. And so, and this just goes back to what I told doctors right at the beginning. My frozen shoulder program is $4,950. If I can help you, we're going to know in no more than 2 visits. I'm going to cash the check. If I can't help you, you get a full refund. And I use the same exact thing with my seminars. You come to my seminars and you say, this is a bunch of BS. There's, I can't do any of this. All you got to do is just tell me that, get a full refund. Okay. And again, I've never given one.
So just to kind of interject on this, doctors, I just want to let you guys know, I have a lot of friends on my page that are doctors. And I want to say that I've known Dr. Barlow going over 3.5 years now, and I've been to many of his conferences. And normally when I go, there's a new batch of doctors every time. So every time I go, I've probably gone about 7 or 8 times. And every time I've gone, there have always been new doctors that I've never known. Maybe once in a while, there'll be a repeat. But what's very interesting observing, I mean, I should be a doctor with all the stuff I'm learning. I can help out with frozen shoulder, but because I've seen it so many times. But my point is, docs, is that every doctor that I went out to dinner with and went out to lunch with, every one of them said the same exact thing, and they didn't even know each other. And they said, I never knew this existed. I'm looking, I'm thinking like, how the heck do these doctors not know this? Yeah. They're like, I just learned how to basically help someone with frozen shoulder in 5 minutes. Like, how does that, it's not fathomed. And I've stayed in contact with a lot of these doctors. And let me tell you guys something. Because of the information they got from Dr. Barlow and what they learned, a lot of them have turned their practices into $1 million practices.
Oh, yeah.
I'm not here. Dr. Barlow didn't slip me 20 under the table to say anything. I'm just saying from someone that goes all the time, which I'll be going to one in next month, one of his seminars. So I'm letting you guys know that if you want your practice to be taken to the next level, you need Dr. Barlow. It's not only learning frozen shoulder, knee pain. He goes beyond that. Right. And if you don't push, call that number on the screen, your practice will stay the same. And again, I'm not a doctor, but someone that's, a layman person that has been to these conferences. They're unbelievable. I mean, I'm 45 years old, and every time I go, I want to become a doctor because of you. That's the funny part,
And you hit on something here, Mark, if I can find my stylus, I don't know where I put it, but let's hopefully you guys can see this. I should be able to do this with my fingers. So wherever you are right now, let's just say this is our baseline right here. Okay. Wherever you are in a monthly income. All right, let's just say $100,000. Okay. And the way I explain to patients is this number, when this is one of the things I train when I talk to doctors. When we're in high school and college, what do you look at? You look at your GPA, okay? That's your worth, if you will, okay? Now, when we get out into the real world, our worth is, what is our income? And when I say that, I mean worth, meaning we're not here to con people. We're not here to yank somebody's chain. We are here to help people and get paid for the ones we can help, and we refer the other people out. That's what I'm talking about. So, okay. So when I'm talking, I mean, these are low numbers, but I just wanted to put a round number here. So, and again, I'm in Tupelo, Mississippi, and I do 100% cash practice. Now, and see, there's a body, there's a human being behind every one of those. Okay. So I take this very seriously when I accept somebody for care. And my staff knows that. My staff will tell you that we don't accept everybody in here. And they don't mean it as some kind of cliche, like some kind of sales pitch. We don't take I mean, like I said, this past week, 2 people went out the door. Okay. So again, let's say just for example, just for the sake of argument, we want to get up to this number, okay, a month. I'm just throwing, these are just numbers. I'm just throwing numbers out there, okay? So the only thing, okay, that's stopping you from going from here to here, okay, and this is a very important point. The only thing stopping you from going from here to here is what you're not willing to do to get there, what you're not willing to do. So for me, when I get up at 4 o'clock in the morning and study, I mean, I better be making this amount of money. Okay. You're right, Mark. You see what you
Amen.
know? I mean, this right here better be the bottom of the barrel right here. This better be a bad month, is what I'm saying. Okay, so again, you know, and when I get up and study, I'm doing it to change people's lives, because when I have my aspiration and goals, I'm serious about that, because I know the only thing stopping me from where I am right now and getting to the next level is that same fill in the blank. It's what I'm not willing to do to get there. What are you not willing to do? So are you willing to take your family to the next level? Like, for example, this is real simple stuff right here. Extremely simple stuff. I can show you how to do a metabolic program that I charge. This is just, anybody can start this on Monday morning if you know how to do it. It's $1,877. And then we do a enteral lab test that's $995. Okay. This number here, the cost on me for this is $616, and the cost on this is $409. Okay, so if you can imagine, I thought I had a calculator here for just a second, but see, these are the things that I do with doctors and show them how to unlock the mystery of these metabolic programs, these metabolic problems. If we took this number, and you don't have to really change anything in your office, but except offer this, because this is an inflammatory diet, which people are going to lose 15 to 25 pounds. It's going to decrease their inflammation, which is going to decrease their pain, which is going to increase serotonin and dopamine level, which means it's going to help with their with their neurotransmitters and hormone levels. Okay. And I'm just trying to give people some incentive here to want to do this. All right. So the net here is 1847. All right. So let's say that we had 4 people, 1 person a week do this. Okay. So you had 4 patients, everybody you recommended to do this, and 4 of them took you up on it and did it. See, that's an increase of $7,388. Okay. And then you multiply that times 12, and you're looking at it, $88,656, because you did something good for somebody. See what I'm talking about? And I mean, if somebody, and I mean, this is low hanging fruit stuff. All you got to do is recommend it, and 1 person a week do this. And if I show, this is net right here. This is not gross, by the way. Right, Mark? I want y'all to understand this. This is net. This is after you've taken out all of this. This is your net, and you offer this to everybody, and you close 1 person a week on this, something good for them, get them on an anti-inflammatory diet. It's a 10-week detox program. You do a test to find out if they have gluten gene, celiac gene, and malabsorption. Okay. And then what we can deal with this. But this, I mean, we're talking about sending a kid to college right here for 1 year. Okay. And so this is life-changing kind of stuff here. And again, this is not earth-shattering. We just have to know how to recommend these kind of things. You don't have to change your office dramatically in any way. It's not like you got to get integrated and you're doing stem cells or PRP or whatever. You can take your practice from where you are right now, and I can show you how to implement this. And I've showed you what your overhead is on this and how much, and then now let's just say 2 people a week do this. And now you're at 172,000 just by 2 people a week. This is where it gets crazy. You just have 2 people a week that does this, and now you're just doing this. You're in the top 5% maybe it's the top 10, but the top 10% of income earners. If you Google this, it puts you almost at $180,000, and I think that's the threshold for the top 10% of income earners. So see, what I'm trying to do is get doctors to have incentive. We're not trying to see. I don't sell things to be selling to people. That's a used car dealer. I'm recommending things to people to improve the quality of their life. So if you need to get paid commensurate with you being able to change people's lives. So see, this is what I just showed you, just 2 simple things that all you have to do is just do it. And remember what I said. Here we are, bringing this home. The difference between where you are now and where you want to go is what this range here is what you're not willing to do to get there. And I just showed you a simple way to increase your income, net income, by $88,000 a year. Folks, I mean, the average household income in America is not even that. And I just showed you how to increase your net income by 88,000 by implementing two things that you can do that's very, very simple. And all it's going to do is help improve the quality of the patient's life that you're talking to. And then I can take you from that to actually growing your practice stratospherically. This is how I'm able to change doctors' lives inside and out, because they're ready to go stratospheric and they want to learn everything that I have to teach them.
Thank you, man. That was good. I think we did over little over the 10 minutes. We're good here.
Yeah. Well, I didn't know. I go until you go, like, shut it down, man, shut it down.
You know what? It's so good that I know that this is something that needs to be out. Everybody needs to go to barlowbodyandbrain.com.
barlowbrainandbody.com.
Barlow. Okay. Barlow Brain, man. Okay. Just say that.
That's a lot of B's in there.
Oh my goodness. I know.
barlowbrainandbody.com.
Yeah. So again, thank you so much for being on the show, and everyone, make sure you call the number on the screen. I'm going to be restreaming this again, so we'll have all the information on the stream, but we wanted to do this live. And those of you, please give Dr. Andy Barlow a call. If for some reason you don't see the number on the screen, of course you can instant message me, and of course I'm going to refer you back to Dr. Andy. And again, thank you so much, Doctor, for being here on the show.
Thank you so much for having me. And it's always an honor and a privilege just to be here with you, man. Thank you so much.
Man, awesome job again.
Thank you.